Good morning and welcome to the second half of this week's news from the camp house. We're here this week with Greg Buenger. He's a retired veterinarian. Everybody knew him. He was over in Belleville, grew up around industry. He's a director now for Farm Bureau. We're talking about screwworms. Now, you just came from some kind of symposium or something where y'all were all the Farm Bureau guy directors were talking about this. And that's the deal, is when I was involved with this when I was a kid, and we had to collect the larvae from the wounds and then send them off in a test tube, and the state would hatch them and sterilize these flies, and then take these boxes of flies and drop them off all over the country in massive quantities. And what they were actually doing was they were breeding these blowflies out of existence because they were dropping all these sterile flies in amongst them. I could make a bad joke about rainbows right now, but anyway, that's how they did it. So, but now here's the deal. Most likely, everybody looks at this and goes, well, why ain't the state taking care of it? Why ain't we doing something to make sure they stay eradicated and that they don't make it across the Rio Grande?
Good question. Well, first of all, where I was the other day, I was actually the director selected to testify before the Texas House Ag and Livestock Committee, and that was down in your area, down in El Campo.
Okay.
And I was on a panel with several other entities, the Animal Health Commission, Parks and Wildlife, and several other entities. So here's the thing: we have two entities that are involved in this. We have the state, which is all the stuff that I mentioned, and so many other things, ag extension, and then cattle raisers, and all these organizations and all these agencies. So what the state is capable of doing is mainly management. I mean, the state does surveillance. The state does quarantine. The state can help with treatments. The state helps with identification, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
The state's not involved in fly production, and that's unfortunate. But it's not, and so the federal government. This is a federal program that, of course, it's highly regulated. And of course, we have to go deal with all the bureaucracy of the federal government. I'm not even going to start on that. We can talk for days. But here's the thing: we used to have in the '60s. We had a sterile fly production facility down in Mission in South Texas,
okay.
And that facility produced about 300 million flies a week. That sounds like a big number, but we're going to need more than that. There was also facilities in Florida. One was actually at Disney World. And so those have all been disbanded and closed, and the reason for that was, as we eradicated all these screwworms and drove them further south and south, and
mm-hmm.
got them south of Panama, where the land is only 40 miles wide. It only takes 50 to 100 million flies a week. Not even that many. In fact, they were producing more like 10 and 20 million flies a week. That's all it took to block them down there. So everything closed up. Mission got disbanded, and it's no longer even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Florida ones are all closed, so now we have to start over. So what the federal government has done so far is, and you may have heard this on TV or social media, Brooke Rollins, our new Secretary of Agriculture, she's been busy with all these.
Okay.
We gave $21 million to Mexico to repurpose a fruit fly facility into a facility that can produce sterile screwworm flies. Well, we gave that money, and Mexico is in charge of that one. I might mention the place in Panama, the U.S. absolutely owns and operates. We say where those flies go.
Okay.
The Mexico thing, they gave that money to Mexico. That's Mexico's facility. I don't have any aspirations of what might happen there. So then also there's an Air Force base down there at Edinburgh, and that's being converted into a distribution facility for flies. So we fly the flies up to that place. Actually, they don't distribute flies; they distribute pupae, which aren't flies yet until you drop them, and then they have time to hatch or form a fly. But we fly those critters up to Edinburgh to the Air Force Base, and then we put them on smaller planes for distribution.
Okay. So
that will be theoretically, or at least hopefully, in place in January. The new screwworm facility, it's a $750 million investment. That money was allocated some months ago. Very little has been done on that, and for something that I thought might take 6 months or so to get done, the projection is more like 2 years or more. That's unfortunate because one thing that will help us if we get cold weather in the next month, and that might help slow it down.
Okay.
But when spring comes around again, we're going to be way behind, and I'm troubled by that, and I think everybody should be. We need flies in a hurry, and we're not going to have them in a hurry.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So, all right. Okay. Now, just to make it easy. Okay. We gave money to Mexico. They've got other facilities and then we're redoing one. We're one of our own.
We're going to build a new one in Edinburgh. Yes, sir. That's right. No other talk anywhere else in the country is underway, and so forth. So we need the flies. You want me to talk a little bit more just about how this fly actually works?
Go ahead.
Or if there's something else you'd like me to cover?
No, I'm just, I think if this is such an anxious problem, everybody needs to go light up. Who do we talk to? Who do we light up? Who do we tell them to get on the ball and get something going?
Your federal legislators. Those are the ones we need to light up, and they're in a quagmire of bureaucracy, and so it's frustrating. And I understand Farm Bureau. We're in we are centered in Waco, but we hang out in Austin and Washington a whole lot. And in fact, I'm going back to Washington in November, and some of us other ones are, and so. It's that kind of deal, but what makes this fly so ugly? There are not a lot of they are not numerous in nature. So people, there may be only 100 to 200 screwworm flies per square mile when a place is infested, but they can do so much damage, and they propagate so quickly that it's horrible. So a screwworm. The female fly, the flies, as I said, are harmless. They just feed on vegetation and other harmless things. But a screwworm female fly can lay up to 3,000 eggs in her lifetime of 2 weeks. Usually when she lays eggs on a wound, it's between 200 and 500 on a wound. These females only mate one time. The males can mate several times, but the females mate one time, and then they lay eggs until they're done. But think about the damage they've done. Think about the geometric progression. Even if you only have 100 larvae in a wound, if even half of those fall out on the ground and become flies, now you have 50 flies that can lay 3,000 eggs each, and it can get away from you. So what makes this sterile fly operation work so well is we release millions of sterile male flies into the environment. They've been sterilized with radiation to the point where it stops them from being fertile, but it doesn't disrupt their body functions.
And the
it's
female,
kind of a calculated dose. So
the female will breed once, you said, right?
Yeah. And
so when a sterile male breeds her, that's the only time she's going to breed, and then she dies.
That's right.
That's how you get rid of it.
If you have a whole bunch more than the wild population, the majority of those females are going to be bred by sterile males, and they're just going to shoot blanks, and that's all they do until they die. That's why it works.
Anyway,
so that's where we're after. That's what we're after.
All right, now Miss Rollins, you brought her up. That is one person. I have really lost a lot of faith in the legislature in Austin. That pandemic ruined me. We didn't have any state leadership during the pandemic. And I'm really upset with a lot of those people. I'm upset with the way they handle the budget. I'm upset with a bunch of the things they do. And I've known a bunch of them for a lot of years and remember things they've said, and then it's not gone that way. But I'm looking at this thing now, and when Trump went back to Washington, I was noticing that he was not taking many Texans with him, but he got Miss Rawlins. Tell my listeners a little bit about her, because that was a right pick.
So when you consider where we came from with Secretary Vilsack, Brooke Rawlins was a breath of fresh air. She's a Texan. She's an FFA American farmer. She's a Farm Bureau member. She sets up everything you'd want to have there.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, we have our organization has communicated with her quite a bit lately. She is in a great situation to do a lot of things, but she's a victim of the same system that we are. I mean, she has like, for instance, closing the border. She can just announce to close the border, and the border will be closed, because that doesn't take. She has the authority to do that. It doesn't cost any money to do that. You just close the border for animals. Well, but as far as building something like a screwworm facility, now all of a sudden you have layers and layers of bureaucracy. Everybody, every level has their own regulations. They can't wait to exert their regulations. So she can say build the fly facility. Well, she's helped. The order is great, but it has to go through. It has to go through permit process.
The money
it has
has
to go
to be
through the Army Corps of Engineers. And so it makes her look bad, honestly. But honestly, most of that I don't believe is you really can blame her for.
No, I have complete faith in her. That was one Texas pick that went to Washington that I really agreed with. I'll tell you what. Let me see. We're out of time this morning, Greg, but I really appreciate you being with us, and hope my listeners kind of woke up a little bit, the people who didn't know about this.
I would say go online, the Texas Animal Health Commission, Texas Ag Extension Service, Texas Parks and Wildlife. There's all these websites now. There is a Texas Screwworm website that is a collaboration of a bunch of those. You can search and find those things. They pop right up. So get yourself educated. And Herman, thanks for having me today.
Oh, thank you, sir. And folks, if you something you got a question about this, you need to listen to this again, you go to the LostRiderPodcast.com and you can listen to all this and get all your information over again. Greg, thank you.
It is my pleasure. Call me anytime.
All right, hang on. Folks, I hope you learned something this morning. You enjoyed this morning's program. Now, y'all go out, have a big weekend, have a lot of fun, be safe, have a good time, and y'all just always remember pretty much any day is sure a good day to be out in the woods.